So now that we've seen the Super Mario Brothers movie and we had a review about it, I am wondering what exactly we can do or see after, like they can do with what they made.
There's really no telling because there's so much that you can do with trying to expand upon trying to do like a Super Mario Brothers universe and all of that. Like obviously there's going to be another Mario movie because it's just done phenomenally in theaters.
Yeah, like the way Mario was done, I think they can pull off more of the movies than just that. One thing I am kind of worried about though, if they want to make more movies, is if they want to branch off to different franchises. And granted, it's gonna be great if, as long as Nintendo is like at the helm or over their shoulder doing the movie, but I'm not sure if it's going to be maybe the same studio if they ever decide to do a new movie like based off of, say, Metroid or Legend of Zelda.
But I think it would work. You know, I know Metroid can get kind of dark, you know, because it's, you know...
It's a lot more grittier. There's a lot more... Yeah. It's a lot more primal because you're basically hunting, like, either, like, alien pirates or... giant monsters or so. And yeah, it's not a lot of like...
I think there's a way to do that to where it fits in with that universe.
I mean, it could work. It's just that Illumination is well known for making kids adventure comedic movies like Minions or The Grinch or the Mario movie now. I just think that they probably need a bit of time and maybe a bit of guidance, likely from Nintendo, to stretch out to these different tones that could be for kids, but in a more serious light, but without ruining the quality that they're trying to go for. Because it's very easy to screw up, even though you had a really good movie done, just because you got a deal.
Yeah. I don't know if it's something that we talked about last time or something that I read, but the difference between, you know, making video game movies back when we were kids as opposed to now is the people that are making the movies now grew up with these video games.
Yeah, I mean, like...
So, like, they have the love for it. They have the love for the lore and all of the stuff behind it. So that's why, like, the Mario movie's great. Last of Us has been great. What's another video game movie that they've done that is...
Sonic.
Yeah. Both of those were great.
And I heard good things about Detective Pikachu. I mean, it's not strictly to maybe like Pokemon, but to Detective Pikachu. Yeah. It was actually pretty close on spot.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep towards the end because we watched it really late. But it's not a bad movie.
And I think they just need a bit more leeway just to try to get into these vibes, for lack of a better word, to make sure they nail the movies right. But if they do it well, then it could be something that people end up forgetting about MCU for. Like, honestly, because it's like it doesn't have to be like a huge
new MCU.
It's a new MCU. It's a Smash Bros. Cinematic Universe.
The Mario Cinematic
Universe. When it comes to the lore aspect, though, when it comes to these games that being turned into movies, it's going to be near impossible to put everything in the movies.
Well, yeah. Honestly, for me, I think the hardest one to do is Zelda.
Yeah, most certainly. Because, like, Zelda, like, you can write a whole, like, book series, kind of like Ice and Fire levels of how much stuff relates to Zelda. Because Zelda, I can't remember how many games there are. There's, like, over 10 for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's
about as many Zelda games as there are Pokemon games.
And they all tie in together, and you can't really put that in all its content in, like, an hour and a half film. Like, if they want to keep that hour and a half, like, time. But I think the way they can do it is keeping the broad strokes of what it means to be a Zelda game, such as, like, dungeons, fighting Ganondorf, saving Hyrule, the adventure, villages, and, like, side quests that you have to do there. But, like, it just has to get the the all-encompassing image of what like Zelda is, and that's the same thing for like Mario, in which they did tremendously well. Donkey Kong, I would think you can do a lot with Donkey Kong. F-Zero, maybe so. Star Fox, absolutely. But it just needs to get that essence, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah, I would really love to see a Donkey Kong spinoff with Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
He can actually I know he's not like a voice actor, but I think he could be a great voice actor if he tries. And the one thing I don't like is that when he does voice act, he doesn't really try, because he doesn't give himself the credit he deserves for doing these things. Because many actors try to voice act and it's horrible compared to like, you know, Seth Rogen being himself. So he can do it. He just needs to try and do it, and it's totally okay if you sound goofy. That's part of being a voice actor,
especially like an obscure character like Donkey Kong. There's only been like, I know there was a cartoon when we were kids.
Oh yeah, I know the cartoon you're talking about. It was Donkey Kong in the Kingdom of the Crystal Coconut, I think it was called.
Yeah,
it was very, very dated. It was very weird.
I've been having a lot of flashbacks of it in my dreams.
But I kid you not, the music is amazing. The singer, whoever did Donkey Kong's voice, he knocked it out of the ballpark. He needs to get like a Grammy. Like if he's in singing, he should have got a Grammy. He's really good.
Can we just talk about how Peaches from the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Oh my goodness, Peaches
could possibly be up for an Oscar when it comes that time.
I'm gonna laugh if it does, but
this is how we get Jack Black his Oscar.
Yeah, Jack Black is gonna get his Oscar probably with the Peaches, and if that's how he's gonna get it, I'm gonna laugh, because like between like Tenacious D and like School of Rock and all these other things he's in, like this is it. You know, I'm for it. I'd be happy if he does. I'm just surprised. Like of all the things, it was this. No one expects that.
You know, Tenacious D does have a Grammy.
Tenacious D does have a Grammy?
Yeah, for Best Metal Performance.
Wow, okay. Then he'll probably get it. He's just going to get it. I don't think there's anyone competing with him, so...
they got it for performing a Dio song.
A Dio song?
Yeah, Ronnie James Dio.
But I don't remember that being like a movie, or was it an album?
Well, Grammys aren't for movies.
Oh yeah, this is like my lack of knowledge here, but like
Oscars are movies. Emmys
I know Tenacious D did a separate album though, from like the movie soundtrack.
Oh yeah, well they have 4 albums.
Right.
The second album is the movie soundtrack.
What song did it cover from Dio?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Yeah, we'd have to look that one up. But anyway, back to Mario.
Back to Mario.
So I think for a second movie, they kind of need to bring in the big guns with Wario and Waluigi.
I think they could. I know like someone has to play Daisy in that movie, because you can't really have Wario and Waluigi without Daisy, because you need the whole gang to be part of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know where they can go, but I can tell what they need to do with the sequel. I think they need to stretch out like the scaling of how the world of Mario is, because for some reason the movie made the Mushroom Kingdom and all the kingdoms around it look a lot smaller than they possibly are, and there's a lot of room you can put stuff in there for that.
Yeah.
I don't think Wario or Waluigi would be antagonists like straight out like Bowser is, because if you know who they are, yeah, they're bullies, they're nasty, they're greedy, but they're never as bad as say Bowser is. Like they don't want like to rule the world, or they don't want to like kidnap Princess Peach. They just want gold, and they might be like, I don't know the right word for this, tritagonist to Mario, like a good, bad, and ugly scenario.
Yeah. Well, what I think it could be like a nice like adventure heist movie. You know, they come in, they steal the big treasure from the Mushroom Kingdom, and then kind of turns into like a buddy cop movie with Mario and Luigi and
like chasing after Wario and Waluigi.
And Peach chasing after Wario, Waluigi, and Daisy, trying to get the treasure back.
Welcome back. We're getting coffee. But I think that could work. It's just that I think if there was a movie with Wario and Waluigi, I could see it as this. I could see Wario and Waluigi trying to pillage Mushroom Kingdom and trying to pillage Bowser's castle, but they screw up and they stole something Bowser really wants, and now they screwed up and they need Mario and Luigi's help.
I can see that. That'd be good.
Thank you so much. But I really think when it comes to like how they conduct themselves, it's up to Nintendo, because in the end they're the boss. They're the ones who dictate how their characters are shown. That smells good. Yeah.
My
I'm just
wife
like
went and got us some stuff.
I'm like captivated by it right now. I'm not gonna like be close to the mic because obviously that's not what you want to hear, but I am hungry.
It's okay. We're here for a good time.
That's right. This is what Nerve Squadron's about. But I think
Even Dewey got a little pup cup.
oh yeah. I think God, I just lost track.
Wario, Waluigi.
Yeah, Wario and Waluigi. So I think it'll be really fun if they pull it off right.
Yeah.
When it comes to voice acting, I think we brought it up before who we might want for.
Well, I just really loved your idea of having Chris Pratt and Charlie Day voice Mario, Luigi, and Wario and Waluigi. But like as they voice Wario and Waluigi, they hold their noses.
Yeah, it'll be really funny because that's exactly like how they sound. Like they just have their noses held while sounding like mean,
very
menacing.
nasally.
Yeah, and they have like their noses like big and pink like the stuff like from a cold, so it's like perfect for that. But I think I wonder what would be a good premise for like a second Mario movie, because I know they had like a post credit scene where they had like a Yoshi egg in Brooklyn's like sewers.
So what I think it could start off with is, so the first credit scene, you see Mario and Luigi, they're living in the Mushroom Kingdom as plumbers.
Right.
So they're doing their thing there, and then at the very end, you see Yoshi's egg crack in the sewers where they ventured into.
In the beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah, the beginning of the movie where they get into the other world. So what I think it could be is, Yoshi's egg hatches and then doesn't know what's going on, goes crazy in Brooklyn. So Mario and Luigi go to Brooklyn, figure out what's going on there. They find Yoshi. Yoshi bonds to Mario instantly. And then they're like, okay, well, we're just going to take you back to your world. Well, as they're doing that, that could be what Wario and Waluigi take.
They'll take Yoshi?
They could take Yoshi.
Yeah.
They've bonded with it, It's like man's best friend. You had that bond. And bam! Mario's got to go save Yoshi.
I mean, that could work.
But what if they're trying to still get like all the Yoshis in the universe to power some great big...
I think probably they just sell them to Bowser so they can get money.
Yeah, probably.
Like have them have a bunch of Yoshis like tied to like a giant hamster wheel or something like that to like run the castle again. Maybe. I had an idea for like the sequel being similar to like Mario World 2, where Yoshi was actually like the protagonist trying to save Mario and Luigi because they were babies in the game. And the way they do that is like, say, like the premise was Bowser was still trapped in the cage, tiny. Kamek rescues him, and instead of going after like Peach immediately, he instead tries to get at Mario and Luigi to capture them, maybe like shrink them. Spell will go wrong, and they turn into babies instead of like tiny Mario and tiny Luigi. And before they get captured, Yoshi saves them, and Yoshi goes on this journey to bring them back to say Peach to save and turn him back to normal. And I figured that would be interesting, but it has to be like a short moment because Yoshi only says Yoshi, doesn't have enough dialogue.
Yeah.
I just wonder how it would turn out, and where would Wario and Waluigi place?
That would be something for people who get paid to do that to figure that out.
That's correct. I mean, it'd be nice, to be an idea guy. I mean, to talk about these things, but
let me bounce these ideas off of you real quick.
Like, let me just jot down some notes for you. Maybe you can take a look at them, and maybe you can put them on the big screen for me, please.
So I do have a pretty good, cool idea for like Daisy, Elizabeth Olsen.
Ooh, I think that'll work.
I think that would work. She has I don't really know how to put it, more of a sultry voice than Peach does. Well, it's a slightly lower voice, so you can tell the difference because they're not the same person.
Well, I don't know if you heard Daisy. She's pretty high pitched.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's very high pitched and very, very energetic compared to Peach.
Yeah.
Actually, the dynamic between Peach and Daisy is kind of interesting because, in the games, Peach is more dainty and more princess-like in her conduct, while Daisy's more of the tomboyish one, who's very much into sports and very active. Now with this movie that's out, you have Peach, who's a princess but more active. I wonder how they're gonna handle Daisy without making them too similar, because Daisy's still a princess, but now that they're both kind of active in their role and being able to
they're
do things
supposed to be sisters, right?
I don't think they're sisters. I think they're just different princesses. They're part of different kingdoms entirely.
Okay. I always thought they were sisters for some reason.
It's probably because Mario Brothers, you think the princess sisters and stuff, and it's but
makes sense.
For Daisy, I wonder what her role would be. I don't think she'll be a princess in the same sense Peach was, but rather just another maybe adventurer. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll be a love interest with Luigi. Because I know that's a big thing. Because Mario and Peach, Luigi and Daisy. But I'm sure she can fit in somewhere in the sequel.
Would you ever want to see Rosalina?
I don't know. Because Mario Galaxy, those games were kind of widen their sense of scale. With what characters they have and how gravity works in the levels and stuff. And with Rosalina, I feel it's going to expand the world maybe too much. Because I feel something planets and stuff would be an end game for a Mario
a third movie.
Maybe a third movie, maybe a finale to this set franchise until you move on to something even bigger than that. But I think Rosalina would be interesting, but I wait to make that a nice special thing instead of being a sequel that goes straight from Brooklyn to the Mushroom Kingdom to another kingdom, and then you just increase the scale.
Yeah. Something I think they really need to do sorry is introduce Bowser Jr.
I wonder how they could do that. Because they never showed a Bowser Jr. at all.
Yeah.
He might be out of town maybe and he came by. Or he just came out of an egg maybe they found and he looks just like Bowser, so did Bowser Jr. It could work. Who do you think
Bowser? Kyle Gass.
So you just bring back Tenacious D instead of Tenacious B?
Yes. Tenacious Bowser.
Tenacious Bowser. I mean, I could see that being pulled off.
But then, imagine them doing a duet together, kind of like Peaches.
Oh my god!
Kyle Gass
talking about Mama Peach, oh my goodness, that would be really funny.
Well, I think it'd just be great, and Kyle Gass does not get nowhere near the amount of credit that the man deserves.
Yeah,
honestly, he's
you always hear about Jack Black, and not really much about Kyle Gass, but he's really good, despite
he is one of my all-time favorite guitarists. He is so incredibly amazing. And the dude's really funny. I really don't know how he never, broke through the ceiling like Jack did.
I think it really is just a matter of, who you're talking to help get you the work you need. Because maybe, Kyle Gass is more more into guitaring than say like acting, like Jack Black is. But really, it's just a matter of like his choices and like who we met. But I honestly think if someone gave him the role, I think he could pull it off.
Oh yeah, he would do great. And it's so fun watching the dynamic between Jack and Kyle. Especially you know, if you've seen the Tenacious D movie or you listen to like any of their albums, because like they have like comedy bits in throughout the albums. It's just like the dynamic between the two of them and how they play off each other, I think would work great for Bowser and Bowser Jr.
And that's one thing a lot of people seem to like not take into account is like actor chemistry, is because all the greatest movies that I've known, like, or ones I've enjoyed the most, always had people that were paired up more often than not. Like, there were movies like with Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, or like, I know like he's not in the movie, but Sam Raimi and like Bruce Campbell. Yeah. The way they work.
Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson.
Yeah, like Owen Wilson works well with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like, basically with chemistry, like you can get a lot of like good moments that you won't be able to capture if they was say someone else.
John C. Reilly, Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
they're always hilarious together.
Yeah, Step Brothers was amazing.
I love Talladega Nights.
Oh my goodness, with Ricky Bobby.
You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby.
Help me, Tom Cruise. Oh my goodness. I think Ben Stiller was in that one movie, Dodgeball. I love that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing movie.
Yeah, so they're like, and I
guess it's a group. They were like Saturday Night Live group.
So it's like Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson.
I don't think Owen Wilson was in it, was he?
He's not in that one, but
I know what you're talking about because I was thinking about Zoolander when I brought them up.
And Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson's brother.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of them. They always did movies together growing up.
Oh, here's another one.
And apparently Jack Black was supposed to be a part of that group. I've never, I can't.
I don't know the details, but like another pair. I mean, I forgot about them, but he's one of them. Seth Rogen and James Franco. Like they do a lot of good movies, despite like how some people might think about it. Like I like Pineapple Express, for example.
I love Pineapple Express, but I hate James Franco.
I mean, I'm used to him. I liked him when he was I don't want to say the character's name wrong, but he was Osborn from like Spider-Man movies.
Harry Osborn.
Harry Osborn, because I was thinking about his dad. Yeah, Norman Osborn. But they're really great.
Yeah, those are the only movies. The Spider-Man movies and Pineapple Express are the only things I enjoy James Franco in.
Yeah.
Other than that,
but they have a good chemistry.
He's just not a nice person.
I mean, I can understand that. I don't know like what's going on with him because like when it comes to like who he is outside
I've watched a few interviews with him. He just seems like a jerk.
Really? Like, what happened?
I don't remember specifics.
Like, is it just like his mannerisms, maybe?
Yeah.
Or, like, you just feel like he might not be like a nice guy.
Yeah, he just like he seems like he'd be one of those people like, hey, he's like, fuck off, dude. Like, I understand because
I kind of got that same vibe from Tom Cruise, like in some of his interviews.
Oh yeah.
Especially like that Oprah interview way back. He's like, man, this guy seems like too hype for me. Either he's really into it or he's on something really good. I don't know.
It's the booger sugar.
Or maybe the e-meters, the thetans of Scientology. Yeah. But I think like to do like Nintendo moves right, I think Nintendo needs keeps a good eye on like whoever's in the studios. I don't think it needs to be Illumination. I think if it was Illumination, it would be great. But they really, for all intents and purposes, Nintendo owns these movies in the end of the day. So they really could just get anyone to do these movies and then have like different studios do different ones, which could be advantageous depending on what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like they could do a live action, maybe Metroid, if they don't want them to do a cinematic universe, if that's not their plan. But it would stretch out their franchise to be more than just video games, which I think would be great in the public eye.
I mean, yeah, I think Metroid would work great as a horror movie.
I think it could work like that. I think
sci-fi horror epic.
I think it could work like the movie Predator has
Yeah.
like it was just like an investigative like mission, and like they were trying to find like maybe space pirates, but then they found like this beast of a pirate named Ridley who it just destroys and decimates like entire colonies or so, and they have to fight wildlife, and that'll be like a great way to expand this like alien world, kind of like how they did making like Avatar, just making this entire ecosystem, studying that, and it'll be a great thing. I think they have a lot they can do with like Metroids, like the creature Metroid, because that's a huge part of Metroid's lore. It's in the name, so it should work. But I think they could do that like as a good movie, like an action kind of horror-esque movie. For other franchises, though,
I think like for the Zelda, if they were to do Zelda, that could almost be like a Lord of the Rings
like a trilogy
type deal.
Like, I think it could work. I honestly wish they would probably do 2 movies, maybe. I just want them to do, like, Ocarina and Majora's Mask. Just because Majora's Mask is a really good game. Has a really good story to it. And, like, the idea of it being paced around, like, 3 days of, like, trying to save the world before it gets destroyed by a moon would be a great premise for a movie. Ocarina of Time, because that's basically, like, the stable Legend of Zelda game. Like, everyone thinks about that game when they think about Legend of Zelda. Now it's Breath of the Wild, but I don't know how you can do that in a movie. But for those 2, I think those are the images for what Link is, what Zelda is, what Ganondorf is, and it could definitely work out.
Yes.
I mean, aside from that, though, one thing that I'm thinking, like, I don't know how they'll handle it, is Kirby.
I am not a huge fan of Kirby. My wife loves Kirby, especially like for Smash. Loves playing as Kirby. She's rather good as Kirby. I think Kirby is kind of an annoying character.
I think I can understand where you come from. I just think that a lot of how Nintendo portrays Kirby in like the games, for example, and how the world's set up, it doesn't explain or leave much to the imagination, despite how much potential it could.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I played Kirby 64, I believe, and they had a story to it. There was no voices at all in the story, but you can get an idea of what's going on. Like, you have these, like, I wouldn't even call them alien. I would call them, like, eldritch, like, creatures, like, taking over entire, like, stars, which are planets in that franchise.
Yeah.
And Kirby's basically going to fight monsters and, like, save these places. But the scope of it is, like, instead of it being, like, one world, it's, like, multiple worlds. And it's, like, the scale of it's off the charts for something that's, like, very, like, cute and silly and, like something that like wouldn't make sense to like a grown up just looking at it. But I think in a movie they could definitely do something with that, especially if you played like the first Kirby's. I remember playing like the remake of it, Nightmare in Dreamland. There is an antagonist. They could do a lot with that antagonist. They can do a lot with like side characters like DDD and Waddle Dee. They don't need to be like voiced, which is what I'm worried about, because you don't need a lot to talk about it. But to put that in a movie, I don't know how they'll handle that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Kirby's probably the most difficult character of all of these to really try and do.
And like
to find the story.
Right. Or like to get him like his reason to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, like, it's kind of important because you gotta nail it right, because in a way, Kirby is very much tied to Smash Brothers than any other character.
Yeah.
Because outside of the story, Smash Brothers and Kirby, I think, are both worked on by HAL Laboratory. So, it's very integral. I think in the first, in the story mode, in both Brawl and Ultimate, Kirby's like the first character you play. If you decide, I think. Or... they're in the first scenes. I think Mario's the first character you play in Brawl, But Kirby's definitely the first character. Like he's the one who just survives amongst all the characters that get like wiped out.
I think you're right. And as soon as I could switch from Kirby, I switched.
Yeah. I mean, like, Kirby, I like Kirby. He's fun. People use his copy ability too much, but I think he's great without it. I mean, like, he should have it, but, like, I can do fine just without it.
Yeah.
He's an all-around good character, like, as a fighter, but in terms of being a character, he needs a lot of backup as, like, supporting characters to help him out. Otherwise, I don't see him having a movie.
Yeah.
Star Fox. Star Fox would have very good movies, like especially for kids, because like I think there is not enough like space movies, and like I think with Buzz Lightyear being out and not being as widely received as they thought it would, I think that there is a place for another like space adventure movie. And Star Fox, given like it has like multiple like different like layers of like different villains and like worlds to explore, they can definitely pull that off.
Well, I think that could be like a new, like there's a lot you could do with Star Fox, and I think it could honestly end up being like a kid's version, a more kid-friendly version of Star Wars.
Oh, definitely.
If done correctly.
Like, I think with Star Fox, of course it's going to be kid-friendly because all the characters are more anthropomorphic, so they're like animal people.
Yeah.
And like the stakes
that's automatically going to draw kids in.
Yeah, the villains are very cut and dry. They're bad. They want to take over like star systems, and there's a lot more action to it, like compared to Star Wars, where it's very much like military appearing compared to like Star Fox, which is very much more like heroic, like fighting against like enemy pilots. I'm sure it can get a lot of great actors for say not just Star Fox, but like Falco, Slippy, Star Wolf, like in that crew, Andros, which is like the main antagonist. I think that with that potential, you can probably make a few movies, not just one, but a few with Star Fox, kind of on par with like Mario, Zelda, or Donkey Kong, if you want to do maybe more than one movie with Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Well, I think there's be a lot to do with King K. Rool.
Oh yeah, like Donkey Kong,
like the technology that K. Rool and his kingdom have versus the
makeshift
tech that Donkey Kong and the apes have.
I really think like if they do a Donkey Kong movie with K. Rool, I don't think it should be. If they want to tie it into like Mario, like the Mario movie,
mm-hmm.
I think it should be a prequel.
Yes.
I think the way I see it, I think Donkey Kong should be actually Cranky Kong in a way, like the first Donkey Kong, and it might be like a title thing, but I would basically say, oh, how did the Jungle Kingdom become as big as it is with all these like apes and the Coliseum and the carts, and how did they get all this tech, and just bring it up to this point where we're like, oh, before they didn't have this tech, and they had to fight people who did have this tech, and that's how they like met K. Rool and how they discovered all this, and how they learned to fight back, and how they started to realize they need to be prepped, and that's how they made their army, and that's how this kingdom was formed, and then leading up to the Mario movie. And I think they have a lot they could do with that, because if you play the Donkey Kong Country games, there's so much, like, in terms of art especially, like, because the art is amazing in those games.
Mm-hmm.
The atmosphere of, like, the jungle, the underwater places, the caves, it can make a fantastic and beautiful movie with just that. And
also, I think that's where the Illumination Studios would really shine, is with a Star Fox movie. Like,
yes.
With as great as all the visual stuff is for Mario, imagine all of that on the same level.
Because like Mario, the movie is stunning in how it looks. They nailed everything to a T. I think they can absolutely nail Star Fox to a T. They can nail Donkey Kong Country to a T. I just worry really only for Zelda, for Metroid, maybe F-Zero, and for the most part, that's about it. When it comes to like absolute like cartoonish characters, I think they can nail that, like, and knock it out of the ballpark. But when it comes to like the ones with more realistic characters like Samus and Link, I don't know. Maybe they should take that to another studio, or they might need to just work on like how they handle those. But they can do it. If it's not about capability, it's about trying to get their strong suit.
I personally think if they were to try and do a shared universe for these characters, it all needs to be done by the same studio.
It would look wrong if it wasn't.
Yeah.
I agree. But I don't know what Nintendo might want, for example. They might not want to make this a shared universe. They might want to just have their own worlds, for example, and just like showcase their library of like franchises that they want to make more games for. I think it'll be a squandered idea if they just not do a cinematic universe, because like honestly I think that would make a lot of money.
Well,
but I understand
people have been wanting something like this for years.
It's gonna make every kid's dream come true if they do that.
I remember thinking as a kid playing Smash Bros. Like, wow, this would be great as a movie.
Maybe it was just me. It was obviously not just me, but like every time when I play Smash Brothers, I kind of think about like how do they get themselves to the point where they need to fight each other? Like, and I just think of scenarios in my head, like what caused them to do that, or like how did they get here of all places to start fighting, and like it makes like your imagination like go crazy with how you can like do these things.
That, because I've been thinking about that a little bit. For a Smash Brothers movie, after like they've done something for everybody, or most of the characters, and they don't even have to do a movie for every single one before they were to do a movie for that. But what they do is they bring in the hand, and it's kind of like you remember Teen Titans?
Yeah.
The episode where there was a champion from each world.
Kind of like War World type of...
Yeah, something like that. They bring in a champion from each world, and that person, or that champion, it's a tournament, kind of like Tournament of Power in Dragon Ball. So you have to do this tournament, and whoever wins, your universe is safe. The other ones get erased or destroyed, whatever.
Well, here's my take. Like, I had an idea. So, instead of it being like a War World type scenario, I was thinking about maybe you have Master Hand be this mysterious figure instead of it just being the Master Hand, right?
Yeah.
It is a Master Hand. But let's say instead of that, they have a robed, like hooded figure that you don't see their face. But it's an empty robe. He's a hand.
The hand.
Yeah, he's a hand behind a hand. It's the act, but it's not. There's no one there. It's really a hand controlling everything and just making it look like someone's there. But it's this manipulator that goes to different worlds, goads them into destroying each other and their mightiest heroes, while he brings in like a polygon army to take over all the worlds, like all these other worlds, like with all his minions, like subspace or whatever. Like, he controls it, but he's just manipulating, like, pulling the strings and trying to get these heroes to fight each other so they can lose. And it'll be cool because you get this motif where you have the Master Hand picking up the little trophies of each character, and it'll be pretty nice to look at and see how he's trying to plan out their fights and see how they get them to, like, lose and take over their world while they're not, like, there. Mm-hmm. And I think that'll be great if they can do that over the course of multiple movies. It'll be interesting to see that. Like, maybe just like have a hint at, this creature is coming to the Mushroom Kingdom, and it's maybe Ridley, and Samus is chasing after him, and it'll be like really nice to see. I don't know.
I like that idea.
I mean, like, if it could be that, and it could probably lead up to maybe a sequel, like Smash Brothers movie. Like, because they have, like, more than just Master Hand. There's, like, Crazy Hand. Giga Bowser, I guess, is one. Taboo and Galeem.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really interesting idea. And that's something I would definitely love to see played out.
Absolutely. I wonder where Pokemon will get involved between it all. Because I know, like, Illumination, like, probably may not be able to do it because another studio is doing like Pokemon movies.
Yeah, because so I know Warner Brothers are the ones who did Detective Pikachu, but I don't know if they will continue to do Detective Pikachu. I think they just actually announced a second Detective Pikachu movie, right?
I heard about talks about it, but I haven't heard any developments regarding that.
Let me look it up real quick.
I mean, like they could probably do another Detective Pikachu, but there hasn't been a sequel yet in terms of games. I think it was just a one-off, right?
I thought there were 2 games.
Like, I know like they had one on the 3DS. I just don't remember there being like a actual sequel, maybe a remake, but that's about it. But I think they can do so much with Pokemon that you don't really need to just do Detective Pikachu, which kind of sucks because that means like Warner Bros. Has this and they're stuck with it and not going to do anything with it. They have to which is why like Nintendo wanted to do make themselves own this Mario movie and just Illumination commission the part like the animation and stuff for it because they have like leeway to get out if it went wrong.
Yeah. So it was announced in March. So yes, they are working on a.
I mean, I'd be interested in how that would go. I think they could still use Pikachu because it's really up to Game Freak and Nintendo in the end if they want to just use it for just another thing. Because Marvel pulled it off of Spider-Man when they were trying to get him in Civil War.
Then, Warner Brothers doesn't own the rights to Pikachu. They own the film rights to Detective Pikachu. Like
they just don't put Pikachu in a detective hat and make him talk, and then that's it.
Yeah. So they put a random Pikachu in, but they could just put Red in the movie.
Like from Pokemon Red.
Like Blue. He sends Pikachu out. Pikachu knows what to do because that's his ace. Pikachu's doing its own thing, and then he's like using. I really like how in Smash Ultimate, it's Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard. So you have one of each evolution stage. So do that, and like Red's working with those 3, and then you have a random Jigglypuff in there somewhere.
Yeah. You might not even need Jigglypuff. Well, it would be nice if you have Jigglypuff because that's one of the first characters. But I honestly think with just Pikachu, maybe a Pikachu lost its owner, or maybe just is on his own, and that's how they encounter the other characters. That'd be great.
Or it's just a wild Pikachu.
Yeah, it could just be a wild Pikachu.
And then
its own Pikachu.
Red happens to show up
and take it in. Yeah. And there's so much you could do with that because in terms of a Pokemon movie, specifically Pokemon, there's characters like Team Rocket are a huge antagonists you can put up. You can just have the rivalry between what was it? Red? Is it Blue in Pokemon Red?
Yeah.
Gary in the anime, I forget the name. But you can just have a whole thing about being a champion or being about Team Rocket. It doesn't have to be just one story, but it could be just maybe a multitude of bits and pieces.
If you really wanted to, you could even go further and bring Gold into the game from Gold and Silver.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be great. Sorry, because Gen 2's my favorite.
It's in the same region, right? And the Johto, right?
So Kanto and Johto. So here's Kanto on the right side, here's Johto on the left side, and they're split by a mountain range.
Okay.
And then Sinnoh is up above them.
Mm-hmm.
So those 3, and I think Hoenn is technically connected there somewhere. So if you didn't know, the first 4 regions in Pokemon are all based on different regions of Japan.
Right.
And they didn't venture outside of Japan for where they based their regions until Gen 5. And they based that off of New York.
I know the current game, Scarlet and Violet, is based off of Spain, right?
Paldea. Yes, Spain and Portugal.
Yeah, and they can venture off in those places. I think Sword and Shield was based off the UK.
Yep.
Or Great Britain.
UK and
I think one was France. I forgot.
So, first 4 Japan, 5 is New York / America. 6 is France. 7 is Hawaii. 8 is the UK and Ireland. And 9 is Spain and Portugal.
Like, it's a huge world.
Pokemon's huge.
I think they just need to do like red, blue, green, and yellow, which is all the same, like Gen 1, and they could probably get a whole movie out of that. I really don't know if they should do like more than one, because you could do more than one, but you have so much to unpack. Like, and you're just adding the Pokemon from each one. You're never going to get enough. So I think you would just get like a whole like, this is Pokemon. You remember this. Like, this is like the image for Pokemon, which is like kind of like what they need to do with all the movies. Is that they need to make sure they get the base essence of what it means to be this franchise, instead of it having to be take everything from the games and putting it in. Because this should be like basically like the flag that shows like the public, like, this is what this is, and that's it. Yeah. Because they're not going to get the entirety of the lore like on the first thing, and that's okay. They just need to get an idea of what it is, so if they're interested, it might sell more games because of it, but at least they get a good idea and they can enjoy that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really the best way to do it. As long as they get like the core essence of the characters themselves, they can do original stories.
Yeah, they don't need to copy like the games to a T. It'd be nice, but you know, if they don't want to, that's totally okay.
And something that we've seen in the past with other stuff like Percy Jackson, for example. You know, they royally messed up those movies because they didn't follow the source material.
Right. Like, they'll have their own takes on characters or like how things
parts
are done.
Of the story. Like, you know, if you're going to do it, capture the essence, do something original. Especially like a video game character.
Yeah.
Especially like these that have been around for 30 plus years now. You can capture the essence, make an original story. Because like, if they were to do an Ocarina of Time movie, if it wasn't perfect,
then it would be like completely
it'd be World War III.
Yeah, like people will be like going scorched earth saying, you screwed this up royally, this is my childhood you just ruined. But I think they just did Legend of Zelda and just have it be like maybe its own like trilogy but its own story. They have a lot more room to handle stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was a good video game movie. I don't know, people agree with me, but that captured the essence. The first Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes.
That movie, like, it had a lot of charm. It was a bit cheesy, granted.
Well, it was the 90s.
It was the 90s, but they had great effects. And it captured the very essence of every character that's in it.
Oh, yeah, no, I love the first one. The second one?
The second one was obviously not good. Like, it was a lot, you can tell it was going to be dated by the time, like, the movie was over. But the first movie, it had just enough where it had a lot of action and everything that it is basically a timeless movie. Because it has everything you want in a Mortal Kombat movie. Action, like, stakes, monsters, funny characters like Johnny Cage. I love Johnny Cage and Kano. And I think if they just capture that base thing, they could do really whatever they want.
I will say the newest Mortal Kombat movie was really good. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I haven't, but I wanted to. I wanted to so bad.
It's on HBO Max.
I'll go take a look at it because I've been wanting to see that movie because I've been playing and watching some of the other ones. Like, I've played Mortal Kombat 9 and I've been watching like videos of 11, and the lore has been getting really interesting of how they handled like the dead end they made with the previous games. Yeah. And they actually do a really good job, and I think they're trying to get into cinematics with it. Like, have you played the 9, 10, 11?
No, I haven't played Mortal Kombat in since I was a kid.
So aside from a fighting game, because it is a fighting game, the story mode is basically like a full-fledged movie, like MCU level of like building up lore.
Well, that's kind of how the Injustice games were.
Yeah, it is exactly like that.
Yeah, so I played those, and you know they're made by NetherRealm, who makes Mortal Kombat. So I've played those, and I played those when they came out. But other than that, I haven't played Mortal Kombat since I was a kid.
So what they did with Injustice, that's exactly what they did with Mortal Kombat, like how they built the lore. But yeah, what was really fun as a kid, I played that Mortal Kombat versus DC game. I thought it was really fun.
I love
that game.
That
like,
game was hard.
It was difficult. Like freaking Dark Khan was just a monster. I kept losing to. I think it was on the 360 I played it, but like I loved playing.
No, I got to the part where I think I had to be Green Lantern, and I couldn't get past it because Green Lantern was awful.
Yeah, I mean like I just knew I had a lot of fun playing like either online or otherwise in that game, and the idea of it there being like a fusion of Shao Kahn and Darkseid was amazing.
Yeah.
And I guess studios or franchises or companies just have a lot more fun with their characters. I know they have like to keep an image, but like just what if this happened? And it'd be like it may not have been good, but I'm glad it happened because you show that you're able to try new things out. Yeah. It's good to experiment, which is what Nintendo did with Illumination, and look how well it did.
Exactly.
Like they didn't have to make a Mario movie at all.
Yeah, no, and right now it's the biggest animated movie ever in terms of opening weekend.
Yeah, it's up there right now. It's beating like there was this other movie it was about to beat.
It's number one.
It's number one.
Yeah, so it was Frozen 2 had the biggest opening of any animated movie ever, and Mario beat it by right at $20 million.
You think Disney lost its edge when it comes to animated movies?
Oh, absolutely. But
that's another story.
That's an episode for another time.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I'm fine with talking about this for now. I mean, maybe like we can talk more about the sequel if there's more talks about that, or maybe what we might see specifically in a Legend of Zelda movie or Star Fox movie. But for now, I'm just content with talking about like the potential that Nintendo could have with these.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy just the amount of potential that this could have, because it's been out for a week, so we've seen what Mario can do, but like
we need to see everyone else.
So the amount of people that love Mario, love the Zelda games, love Donkey Kong, love Star Fox, F-Zero, Pokemon, all of the stuff that Nintendo does, there's like the same amount of people that love each and every one of them. And if they continue on the path of doing it correctly, like they could end up having one of the biggest, call it a film franchise, because they would all be under the Nintendo umbrella. But they could have one of the biggest they could have the biggest animated franchise of all time. And nothing could ever eclipse it, because everyone knows these characters. Because you can't walk down the street without somebody knowing who Mario is.
Yeah, it's like finding someone who doesn't know who Mickey Mouse is. It's impossible.
Exactly.
Like, I think they could definitely pull this off. They should definitely consider it. If they don't, I can understand. But I really think they have a lot of potential.
It's a lot to undertake.
And it could make Nintendo basically a staple of, like, culture in general. Because, like, instead of being just... It is. I mean, video games are, like, huge. It's just, like... When if it spreads out even more than that, it's going to get a lot more people because they know Mario from more than just a game. Yeah. And I think that's what Nintendo really wants to do, especially now with the Nintendo Land. Mm-hmm. I think they really want to check out. All it's going to
do is just going to keep creating new fans.
Yeah, it's just going to make more fans.
Wow. I love this movie. It's based off a video game. Let me buy the video games. Oh, I have to have a certain system? I'm going to buy the system so I can buy the games.
And and they have all these franchises. Like, I've seen these in the movie. Are you saying they're on this one console? I'll get that console. And it's free money.
It is.
It's free money. It's either you want it or you don't. But you can totally. It's for you. You just got to say, I want this.
And that's going to run the world. It's that simple.
Yeah, Disney's in its autumn years right now. That's if they decide to pursue this, like, because right now, like, I really want to talk about like Disney at some point, but like, it's stagnating. I'm just gonna, to say the least.
Okay.
I think when it comes to animation. But for now, I think this is a good point to end talking about Nintendo until more developments come up.
Yep.
Or developments come up. Yeah.
I agree.
Alrighty.